Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another edition of Solutions Watch. I am your host, James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, coming to you, as always, from the sunny climes of Western Japan in March of 2025, with another edition of everyone's favorite solutions-oriented podcast. And this week on the D program, we're going to take our cue for today's topic from a simple but interesting observation. Namely, that there seems to be an interestingly coordinated effort, at least in the certain online spaces right now, to try to get people to swallow the black pill. You know, the black pill. The one that tells you that you are weak, you are powerless, you have no agency or control in your life. The only thing that you can do is to select from the group of oligarchs that will rule over you. And you should be happy about that fact, say the black pillars. These people try to tell you, for example, that you should vote, and then trust that vote, despite the fact that we know selection after selection after selection has been rigged in increasingly ridiculous ways. No. Somehow or other, you should trust this particular recent selection, where somehow or other, this multi-trillion-dollar, multi-generational group of oligarchs and psychopaths have just, oh my god, the people put their suggestion in the slave suggestion box, and now these radicals and maverick billionaires are somehow now populating the seats of deep state power and are totally going to drain the swamp with their AI algocracy. Now, maybe you don't even know what the term algocracy means, which I think is an interesting observation in and of itself. But at any rate, you get the idea. There are people who are trying to get people to swallow that black pill and be happy about it. Yay! Trust the plan. Enjoy the show. Doge is gonna make America great again, guys. I'm a Canadian in Japan. Anyway, yay! Get on board. Now, of course, what these black pillars fear the most is the white pill. You know, the white pill. The one that says, you are not weak and powerless and pathetic. It's not that you don't have agency in your life. No, the exact opposite. You are strong. You are powerful. You are a sovereign human being who has control and agency in your own life. That you can take action with others around you to build a world that is better than the one that you were born into. That is possible. That is the white pill. And what the black pillars really don't want you to see is that the whole federal governmental stage show of selection politics and, hey guys, trust this group of oligarchs, all of that is the wool that has been pulled over your eyes to keep you from realizing that simple white pill truth. You are strong. It does matter what you think, what you believe, and the way that you act in this world, and that is precisely why so much time and so much energy and so much money is spent propagandizing you 24/7 to support the establishment, the authoritarians, the regime, whichever regime is in power. Now, the weirdest part about this coordinated effort that's going on online right now to get you to swallow the black pill is that those black pillars are trying to invert reality. They are saying that the white pill is the black pill, and the black pill is the white pill. So they are saying, oh no, those people who tell you that you are powerful and that you are strong and that you can actually do things to affect change in the world, no, that's the black pill, man. And the real white pill is just trusting the ruling oligarchs. Yay! And if you don't trust them, then you're a black pillar. That is, of course, an exact inversion of reality, but it is being propagated, as I say, in an interesting coordinated campaign right now to make you believe that, for example, the conspiracy realists who have been right over and over and over and over about, well, every event of recent times, from 9/11 on up. Now, suddenly, these people are just crazy conspiracy theorists? No, that label doesn't work anymore. Let's call them black pillars for trying to get people to swallow the white pill. Is this all a little bit confusing to you? Well, don't worry, because in this edition of Solutions Watch, I am going to be delving into this topic in greater detail. I think there's a lot to parse out here, And actually, of course, I have a lot to say on this and my own ideas, but today we're going to do something different. Today I have assembled an all-star team of independent media all-stars to talk about this white pill, black pill, what is going on here. And I have gotten some responses from some really incredible people out there in the alternative media that I think you're going to want to listen to. For example, Patrick Wood of technocracy.news. I know you know his work by now if you have listened at the very least to my conversations with him, but more importantly, read his books. And if you haven't, now is a good opportunity to get acquainted. I talked to Sam Tripoli of the Tinfoil Hat podcast. I am sure people know of Sam and his work and his stand-up comedy, also bringing truth to the masses. I talked to Jason Bassler of the Free Thought Project, who has been a previous guest on Solutions Watch and also does incredible work over at the Free Thought Project. And Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond. Again, someone that my regular viewers will no doubt be familiar with. And if you're not, well, you will become familiar with Ryan. But having said that, if you are one of those Corbett Report subscribers who is warming up his fingers or her fingers to start typing off your furious message about how the whole black pill, white pill analogy is a false construct, well, don't worry. You're going to want to stick around till the end of the episode, where there will be a special appearance by a special guest who will not be named yet, but who is a first-time guest on the Corbett Report, and you will want to see and hear what she says about this topic, because it's probably along the lines of what you're thinking right now. So let's dive in and get started. And as I say, I'm sure that my regular, well-informed listeners already know about the black pill and the white pill, let alone the blue pill and the red pill. But of course, all of this pill analogy comes from, well, maybe not originally, but at least in recent times, comes from the Matrix predictive programming Hollywood trilogy. Quadrilogy? Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting about that. Anyway, of course, the blue pill. Neo can take the blue pill and he can go back to sleep and forget everything he's learned. Or he can take the red pill and wake up to the harsh reality of the real world. And, of course, the blue pill and red pill became a very common analogy, and conspiracy realists like to use that red pill term. But recently, black pill and white pill have been popularized. Black pill, a doomer who doesn't believe in any hope is a black pillar, and a white pillar, I suppose, would be the exact opposite. Well, here's hope. And as I say, I think the meaning of black pill and white pill is being inverted. They're trying to get you to swallow the black pill by calling it the white pill, and vice versa. But as I say, there's a lot to say about this subject. Let's get into it with an interesting dissection of this black pill, white pill analogy by Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond.
Hey guys, Ryan Christian here from The Last American Vagabond. Very interesting discussion here about white pill, black pill, and how much this has played a role, even more so recently than in a very long time. But for a while, this conversation's been swirling. But I think it's important to think about, the difference of the terms, right? I mean, this comes from the idea of most people thinking of the Matrix, but a little before that, a book and so on, and different conversations around the idea being red pill, being confronting the hard truth, the blue pill being going back to sleep, as it were, accepting, ignoring the problem, essentially. Then you have the black pill developing and the white pill, where the black pill becomes the acceptance of the bad thing. Right? Well, the world's doomed. It's too late now. The white pill being, I guess, finding the positivity in that, both being, I think, in my opinion, false perceptions. White being that no matter what, it'll all work out. Trust them, give them time. Black pill being, no matter what they do, we're going to fail. So why try? Interestingly, both in the same kind of idea, right? Let them deal with it. Either we're not going to be able to succeed or they've got it handled. Don't worry. It's both. It's kind of trust the plan either way. So what's important to think about is, what are those terms meant to mean? And the way that it is today, it's kind of boiled down into this idea where the black pill is becoming, from a kind of partisan inversion of these terms, the people trying to stop the problem. And this has been something we've talked about for a very long time. I use the term regime change, where at one point, the very idea of regime change was kind of dismissed as a conspiracy theory. Then it became, over a long period of time, something that was, it today, regime change for democracy. What's interesting about it is that when you think about it, we say regime change, or I say it, and I'm thinking about a very clear, surreptitious, devious action. And then in your mind, you may be thinking of something entirely different, and they're both nodding along saying regime change. That's how these terms are used. And that's how I see it being played today, where it's been inverted. As a lot of us, Steve from Slow News Day and plenty of others have pointed out, the great inversion, Derek Rose included. And I think that's what this really is, this flipping of the terms to where now the black pill is essentially anything that is highlighting that what is happening isn't exactly what you might expect or want or plan for or hope is happening. And that is the white pill, right? Where they have just accepted it. We believe in Trump, or we believe in Biden, and it's all going to work out. And there's, of course, I think the majority of people that exist in the middle in that. But why it's so important today, as I think the point of the conversation is, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that, what is the white pill as in like the good versus the bad. Again, I kind of see both of them as like a hyperbolic version of the reality, or really the overcompensation of each side. So I think today what the important part is to, as always, the core message I think we're always bringing is that you are whatever term you think fits your own solution, right? You are the white pill if you think that means, the positive outcome. But for me, it's really just about finding the power in yourself, realizing that nobody else out there is going to come to save you, that you are the only one that can affect change in your life or anywhere in your perception in the world around you. And maybe you can work along with other people to make that happen in a more broad way, but it comes down to your choices and your personal beliefs and what you do on a daily basis that changes people's lives around you, and through that yourself. Something I've always said in general that I'll leave it on that I think is important. I don't think anybody is just born a certain way, that a good person, a bad person. I think there's a level of that to some degree. And the world around you changes that, your parents, your family, what you're taught. But every day, it's a choice. Every single day, you decide to be a certain person. Every single day and every action you make, you decide you want to be this or you want to be that for different reasons. And my mindset is this, is that if you want to be a better person, if you want to have integrity and principles, and you just decide to do that. And yeah, you'll fall short. You'll miss things. We all make mistakes, but you wake up the next day and you decide again. You decide again, and you wake up again, and you decide again until it just becomes a part of your nature. It's something that I've picked up over the years that I think is very important to think about. That we have to make a conscious choice to be the white pill, to be whatever you think it means. And again, back to the main point, whatever the term is, that you show the self-determination, you show the self-responsibility, and you follow the track that you think is going to benefit the world around you, starting with your own choices. But I do think it's important to see how these terms have been used and are being played and weaponized against us. Even terms that might have been positive once before, it's all kind of lost its meaning. That's what I guess we're searching for. So thank you, James, for putting this on and including me as well. So I hope that answers the question, and let's keep questioning everything.
That, of course, is Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond, and if you don't know about his work, you do now, and I will, of course, link up his site in the show notes. It is a valuable resource, not only for Ryan's regular hours-long daily wrap-up, in which he covers all of the breaking news as it is breaking, and does a fantastic job of that, but of course also has assembled a team of writers on various subjects, like Derek Rose, like Whitney Webb, and others who do articles and even interviews for The Last American Vagabond. It's a valuable resource, and precisely because it hews to Ryan's core ethos of question everything and come to your own conclusions, which I think gives a clue towards the direction in which he will obviously interpret this black pill, white pill question. The labels are stupid, and to some extent, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to call yourself. And if you want to call it white pill, great, do so. But the important point is that the real power comes from us. We have the power, and I am 100% in concordance with that message. And of course, that is the ethos behind Solutions Watch. But if the labels don't matter, black pill, white pill, whatever you call anything, what does it matter as long as you are taking steps in the real world to affect change in your life? If it doesn't matter, then why is there this coordinated attempt to smear any critics, any would-be critics of the current ruling billionaire oligarchy, the man, for those who remember the recent edition of Questions for Corbett? Why is there a coordinated smear attempt that's going on to try to put this black pill label on conspiracy realists? Well, as it so happens, exactly as I was mulling this very question and considering how to put together an episode of Solutions Watch on this very question, noticing the coordinated effort that's going on right now to try to smear critics of the current ruling regime, it just so happens, well, it's very much a part of the zeitgeist, and it was picked up on and discussed in a very interesting, thorough, hour-long conversation on the Free Thought Project podcast, in which Sam Tripoli, who I'm sure you probably know from the Tinfoil Hat podcast, but if not, well, again, this is a good introduction, and the link will be in the show notes. But Sam Tripoli was on the Free Thought Project podcast to discuss psyops and spirituality, why questioning authority is never a black pill, and they get into this very subject in a great degree of detail. So I could not recommend this conversation strongly enough. I think it is an important exploration of this topic. So I will allow you to pause this edition of Solutions Watch and go listen to that podcast in its entirety. All right, now that you're back, well, excellent, great. So now you're excited and primed for a little bit more on the subject, and it is in that spirit that I reached out to both Sam and the Free Thought Project to provide a little bit more of their thoughts on specifically this framing of the black pill, white pill question and why this smear is going around. And first up, we have Jason Bassler, who you will recognize as one of the co-hosts of the Free Thought Project podcast, who had an interesting dissection of where this smear, this black pill smear, is coming from, where the black pillars are trying to paint the white pill as the black pill. Where did this originate, and why is it wrong? This is Jason Bassler of the Free Thought Project podcast.
Hey guys, let's talk about this term black pill for a second. Lately I've seen a lot of people on the right use this term to dismiss anyone critical of Trump. And it reminds me a lot of how the left called people questioning COVID policies a conspiracy theorist. And where did that term conspiracy theorist come from? Well, the CIA used it to discredit anyone skeptical of the JFK assassination. And guess what, guys? It worked. But here's the thing. Those so-called conspiracy theorists, or as I call them, conspiracy realists, have been right about COINTELPRO, Operation Mockingbird, Jeffrey Epstein, NSA surveillance, fluoride-lowering IQ, and the list goes on and on. So let's take this a step further with some Socratic questioning. What if Trump, Elon, Kash Patel, and RFK Jr. will fix it? It's just a bedtime story to lull you back to sleep. What if the real black pill is vote for the lesser of two evils, or as James Corbett says, what if trust the plan, enjoy the show, are just distractions? What if Elon is controlled opposition? An amalgamation of intelligence agencies repackaged as a free speech hero to usher in a new era of technocratic control. What if this is all part of a bigger agenda? What then? Look, support whoever you want to, but I'm going to keep asking questions because questioning politicians, billionaires, and the government is always the morally correct position. History shows us that every regime, regardless of the party, will use every resource at its disposal to mislead, divide, and distract the public. And just because your team is in power doesn't mean that magically changes. As Thomas Jefferson said, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And it's so important that we don't fall into the trap of black and white thinking. Don't support Doge? Well, you're just black-pilled. Don't support MAGA? Well, you just hate America. Don't support Trump? You're obviously a Kamala supporter. Don't support bombing civilians? I guess you're just an anti-Semite. See how this works, guys? Blind loyalty always leads to tunnel vision. Now, let me ask you another question. What sounds like the real black pill here? A, we're doomed either way, so we had to pick Trump as the lesser of two evils? Just trust the plan. Or B, we can't rely on corrupt politicians to save us. We can only save ourselves. Look, I've been called black-pilled and accused of TDS just for asking these questions, but the truth is, I'm the guy in the middle. We need more critical thinkers who aren't emotionally tied to their political identity that can offer level-headed analysis. And the funny thing is, because of my willingness to ask these counterintuitive questions, I get labeled black-pilled or negative or doomer when nothing could be further from the truth. I have a beautiful family, I have a great career doing the work that I love, and I'm happy. You know, at the end of our podcasts, we always ask our guests for a white pill. Because while it's easy to focus on the doom and gloom, we also need to focus on solutions. If we want to change the world, it starts with us, not by forcing our will on others, but by leading by example. So I'll leave you with this. What do you think is the real white pill, and who's trying to keep us from taking it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
An excellent response from Jason Bassler of the Free Thought Project. And I hope you are following the Free Thought Project, not only for conversations like that one that hopefully you just listened to with Sam Tripoli, but many others like it, and much other information and content besides. And for people who do listen to that podcast, you will know that they really do end every single podcast by asking the guest for a white pill, something that can give people confidence, inspire people to take action in the real world, to do things, to affect change. And I always admire people who are looking for the things that we can do in this world. That's why I support the Free Thought Project podcast. I think it is a great podcast and it's worth your time and attention. And on that note, you might also note that I do get ideas for Solutions Watch from the Free Thought Project on a regular basis. So hats off to those guys and to Jason Bassler. But as I said, hopefully you have listened to that conversation with Sam Tripoli. So you'll know that Sam brings in another dimension, another angle to this question of what is the white pill and how do you get people to swallow it, or can you get people to swallow it? And Sam approaches it from a different direction, namely that of spirituality. And what does that mean in his formulation, and how does that relate to this whole question of what is truly empowering, what is hopium, etc.? Well, let's listen to Sam. So I put the question to Sam: what is the real white pill, and who is keeping you from swallowing it? And this is Sam's response.
So the question is, what is the real white pill, and who is trying to stop us from swallowing it? That's a great question. I kind of was talking about all the different pills, the blue, the white to the black, and that's kind of had it ordered. And then I just after thinking about it so much today, the truth is the white pill is the last pill. The white pill is the understanding that, you can't save anybody and that the power resides inside you. This really is it. I've been on this journey for a very long time, trying to get information to wake up people to what's going on. I just realized that most people can't comprehend it and don't truly care. So to get to this kind of place to understand that real change, real growth, real understanding of how the world works is to look from within. That to me is the white pill. A lot of people want to say the black pill. The black pill is there's no hope. I think it's getting demonized. There's people out there that think the black pill is a CIA psyop, the label of black pill, and that you get no hope. That is possible. I think the black pill is just a truly understanding of the experience of the world and how the elites have tried to control it and dominate and go after humanity. And that's what, to me, the black pill is. But the next step after that is the white pill. The white pill is the one that truly lets you know that the best way to deal with it is to look inside. You want to make change, you got to make change from the inside. That's how it goes. And by changing your life from the inside, you are an example to others, okay, on how to change their life. And that's how it goes. When I go on the road and people are always like, Sam, you changed my life. That means the world to me because they saw the example of just me looking inside. I'm done trying to save people. It's you can't do it. If you don't get it by now, you're not going to get it. But the best way to do the white pill, which to me is getting closer to nature, that culture gets you farther from God, farther from nature, and spirituality get you closer to God, get you closer to nature and the order of nature. That's to me what the white pill is. Are you acting high vibrational, low vibrational? To be lost in the blue pill, to be turned off or feel hopeless from hearing black pill stuff? That to me is low vibrational. High vibrational is like the only thing I can change is myself. And that's kind of what I'm doing. The closer I get to God, the more my anxiety goes down and I'm a happier person. The farther I get from God, the more my anxiety goes up and I'm not happy and I'm not a happy person and I'm living in misery. So my opinion is the white pill is the understanding that true change comes from within. I just want to say this, that everything I've ever learned in recovery, our culture tells me the exact opposite. Everything I ever learned in recovery was I am where I am based on the decision I made and the actions I've taken. Culture says it's not your fault, it's their fault. You can't control it, it's out of your hands. To me, everything's about taking control yourself, not kind of having this whole be pacified, don't take any action, someone else is going to come save it. That's not it is. The true punk rock is to know that I am a sovereign being. I am the king of my kingdom, and I can control everything. And that's the way I make change, by showing others how to get out of the matrix. And the people who want to stop that are these old elite families who've made deals with darkness. Who knows how deep it goes? Secret societies, these what I call energy vampires. They feed off our sadness, our depression, and all that stuff. And they want to control us because they made deals with dark entities. And that's where it's at. And through data, they know who the psychopaths are. And that's how they control us over years and years of psyops of thousands of years, because they need to control us. They need to divide us because we are the powerful. They are the few. And if we actually came together and stopped fighting over stupid stuff, the world would be an amazing place. So that's my opinion. The white pill is the true understanding that no matter what they do, you control your destiny, and you have to look within and make the changes within. You are where you are based on decisions you make and the actions you've taken. And if you want to change your life, you got to change your life. Okay. If you want change, you got to make change. And that's my opinion.
Sam makes some important and provocative points there that I hope people will at the very least cogitate on, and it's something that I've addressed before and that I've definitely encountered from many, many people writing into me over the years. Oh, I can't wake up this particular person. How do I wake up this particular person? And as I have explained before, for example, in Questions for Corbett, you can't wake up someone who is pretending to be asleep. You cannot wake up another human being. All you can do is provide facts, evidence, information, reason, arguments, etc. But it's up to them. And it's that the inverse of that is that it's up to you as to how you interact with the world, what you do in the world. And as I think Sam very rightly observes, the most powerful form of persuasion, I suppose, if you could even call it that, is to live by example, to be the change you want to see in the world, and other people will see that and gravitate towards it if it's working. And I think that is the way to really affect change. So some very important points there from Sam Tripoli. And if you're not familiar with his work, of course, please become familiar with it. I would assume most of my audience is familiar, at the very least, with the Tinfoil Hat podcast. But if you are interested in Sam, you can, of course, check out all of his work, including the Tinfoil Hat podcast, including his premium content for members, including his latest stand-up comedy special, Why Is Everybody Getting Quiet?, which is available at samtripoli.com. So that link will be in the show notes as well if you'd like to follow that. Okay, good. All right. I think we have a pretty firmly established basis for what we're talking about today and why we're talking about it. Yes, black pill, trust the plan, enjoy the show. You're just a powerless, weak individual. You have to bow down to the oligarchs. And anyone who doesn't, you better watch out for those people. That's the black pill. The white pill is taking action, making change in the real world. Excellent. Yes, but what does that mean? I know that I'm the type of person listening to this type of podcast. By this point, I would be saying, yes, yes, yes. But what does that mean? What are the nuts and bolts? Tell me in actual steps. What can people actually do and how should they be doing it? Well, I'm glad you asked. Of course, if you are a regular Corbett Report listener, you will already be equipped to know at least the start of the answer to that question and how to find out more information on it, for example, in the Solutions Watch podcast, but more generally in all of the work that I do, which is pointing people to a very, very important part of this puzzle, namely that the most powerful tool of control that the oligarchs have ever invented is the mass media. The media matrix, of course, is what has ensnared us all and increasingly so as we go more and more and more into this completely mediated universe where almost all of the information that we get now is coming, well, not even through books or any other form of media at this point, not the radio. No, it's coming through your digital screens. And of course, that is the most powerful tool of control, because every second that you spend immersing yourself in the digital world, staring at that screen, engaging in flame wars with the other smartphone zombies out there that you'll never meet and never will, and who may or may not even actually exist. They may just be bots. Whatever. Just spend your time on that screen, And for every second that you are trapped in the media matrix is another second that you are not out in the real world, taking action and affecting real change. Right? Right. So, really, ideally, once you really get the point of all of this, I really do hope people, okay, I get it, and I don't need this piece of media in my life anymore. I don't need that media anymore. And if you come to the conclusion, I don't need the Corbett Report in my life anymore, I get it. Great. Okay, you've graduated. You've graduated to the next level. Now go out there and start taking action in the real world. That would be the greatest win for a D program like Solutions Watch. Having said that, I know that everyone's at different stages of waking up to that reality, so I turned to another independent media all-star to get his perspective on what people can do to start taking action in the real world. That person is Patrick Wood, and as I say, you will know Patrick Wood by now, at the very least from our many previous conversations on the subject of technocracy, which hopefully, as I say, also, you have probably, hopefully, already read Patrick's books on technocracy. He has a book trilogy on that very subject, talking about this very era that we are now suddenly immersed in, and everyone is starting to see, talking about these AI algorithms that are going to be algorithmically running the government and making it so much more efficient. Tech support for the government, guys. What is technocracy anyway? Well, of course, the answers are in Patrick Wood's books. They're at technocracy.news, and as I say, I hope my regular listeners are familiar with those resources by now. But are you familiar with the Local Activist Accelerator at www.localactivist.org? Well, if not, you're about to be, because, of course, that is what Patrick Wood is going to talk to us about when it comes to this question of the white pill and empowering ourselves to make change in the world. Well, what does that mean? Once you've swallowed the white pill, what do you do? Well, Patrick Wood has some ideas, and here they are.
Welcome. I'm Patrick Wood for Technocracy News and Trends. You probably already know that there's something going on vis-a-vis the coup d'etat of technocracy and transhumanism these days. If you don't understand it, get boned up on it. Here's some resources for you. You got to appreciate a cartoon once in a while. Here's Calvin and Hobbes talking about the superheroes who basically like to fight the evil maniacs with grandiose plans to destroy the world. And Calvin figures out, well, why don't the superheroes go after more subtle, realistic bad guys? Then Hobbes chimes in, yeah, the superhero could attend council meetings and write letters and stuff to the editors. Yeah, I see the problem. So anyway, you get the idea. Great cartoon. This is the problem, though. However, people don't want to be involved in local action at this point. This is going to change big time. Local action is where it is at this point. Not slamming your TV. You can't change anything on the national politics stage anyway. But when your life is affected, and it will be, if it's not already, your life is going to be affected. You will take action locally for things like jobs, housing, food, health, safety. These are very personal issues, and nobody can solve them except us individually. And you can go to your local politicians. This is so critical to protect your community and your persons from harm. They're the only last defense you have at this point. Maybe you don't, if you live in a big city, that might be kind of hard. If there, you could go to your neighborhood leadership, perhaps, but you have to make a concerted effort to contact these people to make sure they understand their job is to protect you from any harm and under other things relating to infrastructure, etc. Well, when you go to local officials, always go 2 by 2. Don't go on your own. You need a witness to involve and basically to record and film everything, to hold them accountable, not to be rude necessarily, but just make sure that they understand you're dead serious, that you want your neighborhood, your family to be protected, and that's their job. That's their only job at this point. Then organize neighborhood groups to build relationships. We must have relationships with real people, not online people, not bots, not AI, whatever. You have to have relationships with real people in the future. This is so important. I just cannot stress this enough. So it's really easy to get together with a group of neighbors. You don't worry about what their politics is. Just say, hey, can we just get together and talk about stuff? What's going to happen if we have a food shortage, for instance, if somebody loses their job because of AI or health issues or whatever? You can talk with people, and they don't have to be offended at all. These are just basic human concerns that you have. Then, if you need help to be trained in civic engagement, we have a great organization called localactivist.org. This is part of citizensforfreespeech.org, which I happen to be the founder of in 2018. But we have a great training program to help our citizens understand how to approach people in leadership in your local community. You don't want to blow them away, because if you make an enemy of somebody, then that won't help you at all. But you can learn great skills to be effective in your local community. In any case, I'm Patrick Wood for Technocracy News and Trends. Thanks for listening.
Once again, that, of course, is Patrick Wood of technocracy.news, and also www.localactivist.org. And I hope you will follow the link from the show notes if you are at all interested in that concept of local activism actually taking part in the world literally physically around you, rather than watching the theatrics of this stage show that's happening on the screen about people thousands of miles away from you that may or may not, that you probably have absolutely no control over. Well, anyway, as I say, that's an example of talking about the real world and the community around you and things that you can do to form relationships and build community and take steps that will have an effect on your real world life. So, as I say, the link will be in the show notes for those who are interested in following up on that, and I hope they will avail themselves of that resource. But, once again, if I know my well-informed and critically thinking audience, and I think I do, you may, by this point in a podcast like this one, you may be ready to just reject the entire framing of this episode. As I say, warming up the fingers to start leaving the comment. Black pill and white pill is a nonsense framing, and I reject it completely. Good. I agree. I think you're on the right track. And it is in that context that we're going to talk to our next guest here on the D program, someone who has not appeared on the Corbett Report before. That would be Naomi Wolf, Dr. Naomi Wolf, who I'm sure you are familiar with from her work throughout the years, probably in the most recent context from her work at Daily Clout or her work on the Pfizer papers. But it is in that context that recently Naomi Wolf wrote a couple of pieces that gained quite a bit of notoriety and attention online, although maybe not in the right way for the right reasons. Maybe for the right reasons if you really think about it. What am I talking about? Well, I suggest you go and check out these posts if you haven't yet. One of them is called The Sack of Rome, Elon Musk's Digital Coup, and the other is called How Not to Be a Patriot. And they are available for free reading at her Substack, and those links will be in the show notes. I suggest you do, because you will be able to read through those articles and see that she makes some pretty level-headed points, not off the rails hyperventilating, but pretty level-headed points about how it might not be a wonderful, great idea to allow a private businessman like Elon Musk, who, just happened to make his hundreds of billions by being a private contractor for the deep state, to snarf up all of the data of the federal government in completely opaque ways, while, by the way, that aforesaid individual is busily creating his own AI godhead / grok engine. Maybe there's something we should have a little bit of caution over here. Maybe this might not be a great idea. And you would read those articles and think, yes, okay, I understand the point she's making. And then you would look at the response that those articles received, and you'll think, what on earth is going on here? Almost as if there was a coordinated attempt to smear anyone raising any questions at all about Doge or about anything that's happening in the world right now as, this is a black pillar. You can't listen to this person, in that inversion of the black pill, white pill meaning that I talked about at the beginning of today's deprogram. So it was in that context that I was interested to talk to Naomi Wolf about not only her work, but more specifically the response to that work and the type of pushback she's received, and the fact that people are now calling her black pill because she is not 100% totally on board and completely ready to submit all of her information and the information of every other American, at the very least, to Elon Musk. I wanted to ask her about this black pill label and the way she approaches it and what the white pill might actually be. But as I say, if you're sick of this black pill, white pill framing, you will enjoy her answer as much as I do. So let's approach this from the opposite direction then, because if the black pill refers to people who have no hope, they're doom and gloom spreaders, and they won't get on board with the latest train, whatever that is, what is the white pill? What is hope? What can you positively offer to people about things that are actually improving and ways that people can empower themselves to make this world a better place?
Well, I don't know if you're going to like my answer, but I have to just be frank. I would ask you to reject that framing altogether. Like, we are in a time in which, and AI helps do this, right? In which we're encouraged to think along preset templates and to embrace them. And so this whole nexus of red pill, black pill, white pill, is a dumb superimposition on our thought process. It's as bad as conspiracy theorist or anti-vaxxer, right? Because it asks us to be punished for a certain line of inquiry, or to punish ourselves in advance, or, I don't want to raise that because then I'll be, in the black pill camp or in the, blue pill camp, or a normie or a non-normie. And, I just, like, our enemies want us to be dumb, right? They want us to stop critical thinking. They want us to not have high quality debate, civil debate, which is the best and most productive kind of debate. They want us to divide into stupid tribes. And I just see, like, one set of stupid tribes, vax versus unvax, say, is like out the window. Ukraine flag versus no Ukraine flag is out the window. And now it's like, let's carve up the new, power structure in the following stupid way, or the new in kids and out kids, at the high school cafeteria tables in a new way. So I'm just always going to reject that, and I'm always going to say, like, what are we talking about? What are the merits? What's the evidence? Right. But if you want to say, what am I hopeful about? That's part of why I'm not even engaging with this black pill thing, because I've been called so many names and all of them are nonsense, right? It's nonsense that I was a conspiracy theorist. It's nonsense that I was an anti-vaxxer, although maybe now it's true. It's nonsense that I was a Trumper. It's nonsense that I was a, whatever, people who say I'm a deep state operative, like, that's nonsense and false and defamatory. It's all nonsense, right? And I know I'm over the target because I read a lot of history, and people like Martin Luther King and Walt Whitman get called so many names until history kind of settles on the fact that they were right all along, largely. So, anyone who knows my work is going to know that it's absolutely ridiculous to call me black pill. That's a coercive kind of bot that is basically the kind of bot that's also saying all our data is out there. And by the way, if people don't know why there's a fight, I wrote 2 essays now warning as a tech CEO that the way Elon Musk was engaging with our data raised huge red flags, like fatal catastrophe, irreversible red flags about cybersecurity, and destroying the presidency, destroying Congress, destroying the government. Much as you may hate the government, you don't want the only authority to be AI and Elon Musk and his 6 oligarch friends, right? So that was my criticism. But I'm seeing lots of bots say, this is so dumb, they have all our data anyway. Well, that's a dumb criticism for reasons I can give you. They may, our data may have been hacked or released in multiple ways, multiple times, but no one has had access to the most valuable, pristine trove of data remaining, which is the US government. And as a result, no one is able to create filters, as Elon Musk can now very easily, to create a control grid with the Social Security data and the Medicaid data and your contracts of your business and your census information. All of that now turnkey can be a China-style control grid. There are other problems. But I guess what I would say is, I recognize these attacks so well now. It's like, okay, here are some critics. Let's generate some digital, repetitive criticisms or mockery that will deter people from following them or taking them seriously. So black pill is one. They've got all our data anyway is one. You're disloyal to President Trump is one, although probably that has more grassroots support. But it's just stupid. And it's stupid because our job as citizens, again, is to ask every question and, see every piece of every record that's not classified belongs by law to the American people. So we should be going over, literally, we should be able to see in a database on the Doge website, which doesn't exist yet, every program that was canceled, every action they're recommending. We should be able to search it by keyword. None of that is available to us. So it's just one awesome headline after another. And I'm cheering, of course, the revelation of waste, fraud, and abuse, just like everyone else. But the point I keep making is Musk could generate all those headlines for the president in a cyber secure way and in a way that doesn't risk stealing our IP or copying our IP, sucking up everything we are into his AI, right? Who owns the AI that he's using? AI is not owner neutral. There's an AI arms race. And we have to, as citizens, think through things. I mean, I'm kind of bunching my concerns all together, but as citizens, we have to think through and debate things like, okay, if AI is running big chunks of the government and it restricts your rights, whom do you sue? Like, the courts don't even understand these issues well enough to adjudicate about them. And there aren't answers. I mean, AI is, I keep trying to explain, it's not neutral, right? When AI goes into, especially someone else's AI, goes into our protected data sets, and much as we may hate the government, it's a very relatively clean way to protect data sets in the United States compared to other countries. And once Elon Musk's AI eats, just say an email every week from our intelligence agencies, right? Then you can, there's no, that information is liberated. It's liberated from secrecy and it's liberated from any accountability. And so whoever has access to wherever he's storing it, right? And we don't know where he's storing it, right? Why is there a cloud computing guy with him? That was a big red flag to me. But whoever has access to that data can do a search and find every FBI operation against Chinese sleeper cells in the United States and hand that file to China, or what cartels are in our inner cities selling fentanyl and what operatives are undercover from the FBI trying to disrupt that, hand that file to the cartels. So it's the biggest national security breach in history. Like it all at once, he can do more than any spy has ever done to destroy our national security. And what I don't feel the Trump team and their advisors, I mean, now maybe they're getting a clue because there are these, there's this pushback from different agencies who are Trump, appointees. But I just don't think President Trump and his advisors understand the technology, the technical risks. And since they put the people who initially tried to protect the Treasury data on administrative leave, you've got this very dangerous situation in which internal technologists in the government will be scared to say to the president or up the chain of command, this is so dangerous for X reason, or you don't want these engineers to plug their own computers into our systems for this reason, right? Or, be sure to get a non-compete from every engineer so that they can't just copy the IP which our tax dollars have generated and use it for their own purposes. I mean, any number of problems. You're a very good listener, so I just keep babbling on about what my concerns are.
You have raised so many important points there, but I mean, just on that latter point alone, as someone who has been talking about technocracy for 15 years now, I never expected that it would arrive in such a blatant fashion and be welcomed with open arms by so many people. But that being what it is, you predicted I would not like your answer. In fact, I love your answer because I think it gets to the heart of what is always the strategy of the oligarchs: divide and rule, and classifying people into certain groups so that they can then fight amongst each other. And what better system could possibly result from that than a self-sorting system where people, oh, I'm black pill, I'm red pill, I'm white pill, I'm blue pill. Okay, great. Take the rainbow pill. But how about we concentrate on where power actually lies in society? And clearly, in this day and age, power lies in the technocrats and would-be technological oligarchs. And on that note, of course, you did make reference to Daily Clout. Tell people what Daily Clout is and what you do there.
Thank you. It's very exciting. Because I was a political consultant, I saw that laws were written, lobbied for, and passed at the federal level, but also at the state level, without the involvement of the citizens, or and with very little ability of the citizens to understand what was going on and have input. And this benefited, special interests, of course, because there were fewer people to satisfy with a given piece of legislation. And also, millions and billions of dollars could be transferred to people's cronies or donors with a clause in a piece of legislation. So this is not how our system is supposed to work. So I realized that the solution had to be digital. So I co-founded this company 13 years ago called Daily Cloud, and we built our first product is a digital database. This is much less boring than it may sound, just if you'll bear with me. A digital database where you can search any state or federal bill. We're the first people who, synthesized those into one place and made it interactive. And then you can share that bill through social media. And so it's all, and you can track it in real time. You can see who the sponsors are. So people have had a huge impact on state and federal legislation by just, sharing and commenting on a given bill, like, oh, here's this healthcare bill. They say it, they're saying on the talk shows that it covers cancer as a pre-existing condition. Well, here on page 62, it doesn't, they're lying, and then since it's all done in public, the people who are writing the bill will change it, in real time when they get the pushback from citizens. And it doesn't even take that much, because it's embarrassing, right? This is a bad bill. This bill And that's part of why I was so alert to what Elon Musk was doing. A lot of bills transfer the IP, which is very valuable, from the government to stakeholders who turn out to be Silicon Valley VCs or technologists. That's our property. That's our intellectual property. We paid for it. We developed it. So anyway, back to Daily Cloud. That's BillCam. And we also create videos and blogs explaining legislation and just following democracy around the world. And we also have two other products, which are very exciting. One is called Legisector, where you can, it's more of a business-to-business platform where you can search and have a live feed of legislation affecting your industry. So if you're in real estate, you get real estate legislation, healthcare, infrastructure, defense, energy, cannabis, whatever it is. And now we've got Communities, which is a censorship-free, surveillance-free Facebook alternative where you can start a community around an issue, raise money, and so on. So that's what we do. And we have been really successful with the United States, but there are 132 democracies. So we hope to now start building bill cams for major democracies around the world so other people have this transparency. But to be less nerdy for a minute, it's what we do at Daily Clout, which is create code that sorts through vast government data sets and then lift out what we want people to pay attention to, is kind of exactly what Doge is supposed to be doing. And that's why I understood exactly how scary his methodology was, on many levels.
Technology is a tool of empowerment for the people so that they can actually have transparency and see into what the government is doing. Wow. Imagine that.
Right?
Imagine actually looking at that way instead of this way. Yes. Surveillance state can go both ways. And so that is empowering. I'm glad to hear that. That is a nice, hopeful way to wrap up this conversation. But Naomi, I hope we can talk again in the future about the Pfizer papers and other things that you've been working on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And by the way, may I say where people can go to find us?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you. Please go to dailyclout.io to see what we're doing and become a subscriber or a donor there. And you can find me and my Substack, Outspoken, on Substack. And I'm Naomi R. Wolf on Twitter, now X. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
All right, friends, that is Naomi Wolf's response to this question. And as I say, I do like that answer. I think it is a good answer to the question because, yes, it is the age-old divide and rule tactic to get people to categorize, classify, label, and thus completely dismiss entire sections of the population. I can call you black pill, I can call you blue pill, and then I never have to listen to anything you say because you are that thing, is a stupid way of thinking about anything. And it, in fact, is actually only used to prevent us from thinking deeply about subject matter. So, if, after all of this discussion, you are ready to throw the entire black pill, white pill, blue pill, red pill pharmacy in the garbage and never think about it again, I am actually completely supportive of such a decision, to the extent that it hinders people from actually thinking deeply about subjects. Now, conversely, if you want to think of the white pill as personal empowerment, and thinking that, well, what you do and the way that you act in the world is important and that you do have a role to play in the active creation of a better world, rather than as a spectator to some spectacle on some political theater show that's taking place thousands of miles away, well, great. Think of it that way. It doesn't really matter so long as what you are doing is actually activating and becoming an actor in the real world, rather than watching actors on a stage. Anyway, there's a lot of information that has been encoded here today and responses from many different people, and all of the links to all of these people's work will be in the show notes, and I would highly suggest, if anything that you've heard today caught your attention, your interest, if you haven't familiarized yourself with these people's work before, I hope you will do so. I think they all have interesting perspectives to bear on what is taking place around them, and you can call them white pill or whatever pill you want, but maybe we'll just call them human beings who have an interesting perspective that bears listening to. On that note, I think we'll leave this exploration here today, and, well, I'll be back once again next week with another edition of Solutions Watch as we continue going forward, exploring the various ways that we can actually make change in the real world. I hope you'll be there with me for that. I'll have plenty of other content coming forth at CorbettReport.com in the meantime. Thank you for investing your time in this exploration, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again in the near future.